Hi, this is Stacia, and I'm going to share with you a little rapid training game that I played on leechess.org. So fasten your seatbelts because, well, I shouldn't even say that. Don't blink is what I'll say because it's a fast game, and you can probably tell from the title. Um, I had a Morra Gambit this game and it went right. So let's see what we can learn from it though. I'm not content with wins on their own. I want to understand any resources my opponent had and how to improve, even on my wins. Okay, so this game opened with e4 and he played c5, the Sicilian defense. Now, I played d4 here. This is the Smith-Morra Gambit, so offering the d pawn. Note that I don't want to take with the queen here because that would allow knight c6, and now black is developing their knight with tempo on my queen. And I mean, I suppose I could go here, but I think already I kind of like black. So instead of that, I play this move, c3. And now we're attacking the pawn. And if he takes, it develops the knight. So this is what happens. And now he played knight c6, a sensible move. I played knight f3. He played e6, which is normal, and I went bishop c4. Now, this is pretty much the normal setup for the Smith-Morra Gambit. So what's really nice about this opening is you get really natural play for the pawn. Like, what's more natural than putting your knight here, putting your knight here, putting your bishop on c4, castle. This is all very nice. Okay, so he went knight f6 here. And now I can start to think about e5 ideas. I think e5 is wrong here, though. Like, let's go ahead and analyze this without the engine, and then we will come back and look at it. Like, if e5 right now, I actually think he could probably play knight g4, and this attacks the pawn again. It's kind of like, I call this a boomerang tactic, when the knight can sort of, kind of looks like a boomerang, first of all, but the knight pivots and does things. So, okay, I guess here, I mean, maybe I have bishop f, maybe bishop f4 is okay. Yeah, maybe this is actually okay. And there is no queen c7 because I have knight b5, but then queen b8. I'm not entirely sure about this. So I wonder if e5 is possible. e5 might be because the knight cannot jump into the d5 square. So we will look at that in our post-analysis with the engine. Okay. So let's see what happened in the game. I castled. He went d6. And this is sort of like the Scheveningen, I'm probably not saying it right, but the Scheveningen pawn structure. You'll see this against the Morra Gambit quite a bit. And the go-to plan is to play queen e2 and rook d1 and line the rook up with the queen. So I did that. He went bishop e7, rook d1. And now I'm pretty sure this is a critical moment for black. So if black plays a normal move here, like castles, for example, let's try it. Like if black plays castles, e5 is suddenly a thing. And the reason is, look at what the pawn's attacking. The pawn's attacking the knight, and the pawn's attacking a pawn. Now, it'd be natural to move the knight. Like I said, maybe pivot to g4, but here, now I can take on d6, and the only way to recapture is with the bishop, but now this pin is a problem Like we have moves to attack the pinned bishop. So like knight e4, knight b5, and also bishop f4. And we're gonna basically win material here, if I'm not mistaken. So okay, but we're doing this Stiepen hanging pawn style, no engine yet. We'll come to our own conclusions and then check with the engine. So here, I think he must go e5. That's my feeling on this position. You don't necessarily want to do that and give up the critical d5 square, but black is up a pawn, so I think, you know, it's a necessary concession, and this becomes eternally weak, but maybe it already is. So in the game, I'll show you what happened. a6. This is common to play this move and stop knight b5, and also prepare the move b5 with the idea of developing the bishop to the b7 square. The problem is I can play e5 here. And we were pretty much blitzing out our moves. Yeah, if you look at the times, you can see that we started with 10 minutes and we both had more time on our clock than when we started. But now I actually stopped to think a minute because I felt like maybe e5 was winning. And indeed, I think it is. e5. What can black do? What can black do? So, like I was saying, if the knight goes to g4, I take here. That's really annoying because if the bishop does take, I have those familiar moves I mentioned before. Knight e4 and bishop f4 attacking the pin piece. That should win. Black obviously can't take because the pawn is already pinned. And if black goes here, I thought I could take the knight because guess what? It looks like he's attacking my bishop, but if he takes, then I take the queen with check. So all of this is pretty good. So in the game, he played this, d5. But I mean, I challenge you to find a better move for black. Maybe this is a better try. But let's look at what happens. I mean, I guess you could try this. Something feels very wrong, though. Yeah, black or white's a lot better here. And if you take it, I think those moves I mentioned are a problem. So I don't have knight b5 anymore, but I still have this move. And as you can probably tell, it's very difficult to defend that bishop. How are you going to do it? You need to defend with a piece, right? Like, even if you try defending with the king, that's not good enough because the queen is next in line to capture, and then you'll lose the queen. So, like, I'll just show what I mean. Like, if I take now, like, what do you do? Take with the queen? So this would obviously be completely winning. So how do you defend this then? You can't move the bishop or you lose your queen. Maybe this is the best try, like check. But obviously I take. Yeah, I don't know. And then you can move the queen, but you just gave up a piece. So yeah, I think it's pretty clear to me that after e5, black is probably just losing. Probably the best move is just to play knight g4 here and then play here or something like that. But this has to be just horrible. I'm actually wondering if I can... Yeah, probably not even worth looking at this line. So in the game here, and I promptly took the knight. He took with the bishop, realizing that he can't give up his queen. And then I just added insult to injury. Knight takes d5. So now I'm threatening discoveries. Notice that he cannot take here. This pawn is pinned as well to the king. Now I'm attacking this, and my opponent simply resigned here. So okay, let's now turn on the engine and use the Explorer book and see what we can learn. Okay, opening book. C5 is the main move. Yeah, and D4 is not a common move, so that's if you want to avoid all that Sicilian theory, then D4 is an excellent move. Now you'll notice it doesn't score well for white, like at the higher levels, but I have a lot of good games, and they're interesting games with the white pieces. So until I get to 2200, which I'm going to try to do, I think I'll be using this as a weapon quite a bit. Okay, so C3 is the main move, taking. They can decline the gambit. They can actually go knight f6. And after e5, you're in a c3 Sicilian. Knight takes, knight c6. I think that's the main move. It is. Knight f3. e6 is the main move. Bishop c4. So all of this is mainline Morra Gambit. Yeah, now the move a6 is normal. Just to stop that, any knight b5 things. Knight b5 is useful for a couple reasons. Number one, the queen often wants to come to c7, but that's not really safe to do. And the other reason is the knight just might jump into the d6 square with check and cause issues that way. Yeah, and knight f6. So yeah, I actually think knight f6 is kind of, I don't want to call it a mistake, but I do want to call it risky, because if you're going to play knight f6, you have to be very mindful of e5 stuff, attacking that knight. So for that reason, let's follow the main line for a second. a6 is the main move, followed by knight g to e7. Yeah, so avoiding this, just avoiding this stuff entirely. And then in the excellent book by Mark Esserman, Mayhem in the Morra, he calls this like the 007 variation or something like that. We pin the knight. I mean, the knight is kind of nice here, but on the other hand, it isn't, because it's blocking the bishop. And also with the pawn on e4, the knight's limited on squares. So actually the knight's going to come to g6 in these lines. So the move bishop g5 is designed to stop that by pinning first. And then in order to get rid of the bishop, black has to make some sort of concession in their king's side. So f6 or h6. And then white will come back to e3, such as the main line, and argue that, okay, you played f6. You know, that's not a desirable move. So, okay. So that's how the main line goes. But in this game, knight f6. So very risky. And it looks like I found what seems to be the best move. And there's only 18 games now, so I'm ready to turn on the engine. Queen e2 is the best move. I thought it might be. Oh, wow. And I castled, so I didn't play the best move. Yeah, I almost always castle before queen e2. I'm not sure it matters a whole lot. Wow, if queen c7, I would go knight b5, probably. They're just saying the knight comes here, and who cares? Wow. Yeah, this is pretty interesting. Wow, there is a check. The check's kind of disturbing, isn't it? So, like, if check, king f1. I wouldn't be very happy to play that. Okay, So I'm not convinced. Maybe knight b5 is just wrong then. I have to go e5 right here. Very interesting. So I guess black can get away with this kind of play according to the engine. But like I said, like the engine finds the best defensive moves. Opponents often do not in these variations. All right, so let's go back to the game. I played castles. This seems very sensible. Get my king safe. And he played d6. Okay, so as I mentioned, now the idea against this structure is to play queen e2 and rook d1. And as you can see, the engine's pointing out that is the best. Queen e2 and then rook d1. So queen e2. He played bishop e7. And I played rook d1. Yeah, and I think this is the point in the game where I mentioned that now due to this pin, e5 is on the menu. I'm threatening e5. So black must play e5 themselves. And it's not a desirable move necessarily, but it's necessary. So when my opponent played a6, I thought that was a mistake and I should play e5. And the computer agrees. So I'm happy to see that I played this correctly. e5. Oh, I missed this move. I missed knight d7. So that's the best way to answer this. It can't be good though. So if the knight comes here, I would take the pawn. Okay. Now the bishop has to move. And white's better, basically. And I could play bishop e3. Bishop d3. This is a move the computer often suggests, and one that I don't understand. I feel like I could even think about sacrificing here. You know, like, I doubt it's good, but you have to look at stuff like this. Because what if there was some killer blow now? Wow, so knight d7, and they're saying that after this, just play, you know, I would probably play this. Seems more natural to me. And white's better. Castles and... So, as far as gambits go, this fits in with item number 3 in my opinion, but also kind of 1 and 2. The 3 items that I mentioned are you play for initiative, you play for attacking chances, and sometimes you play to simply win your pawn back with a better position. And that's what we've done here. So you can see that we won our pawn back. We have 6 pawns, the black has 6 pawns. And even though this pawn is isolated, it's deep into the black position. It's extremely annoying controlling these squares. So we have this pawn wedge and we have tons of space, and I definitely would happily play white in this position. All right, so let's go back. So it looks like I considered knight g4 as well. I thought takes here is the answer. And yeah, so like I mentioned, I don't think black can take this because of attacking the pin piece. So that was correct. So black will lose material. And in the game, I think d5, probably my opponent missed that. They cannot really take the bishop. Yeah, so I took here, they took, and now knight takes d5. Also top engine move, so pretty happy with my play this game. Although I definitely didn't understand everything going on. So I'm happy to do this analysis. All right, so if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for me on how to improve my chess for you stronger players out there, definitely do so in the comments. And please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing a lot more posting in the coming weeks. So happy checkmating to you, and chess is best. See you later. Bye.